Hello. Thank you for joining. We're so happy to be here tonight. It is the top of the hour, and I am Lisa Kinsella. I'm the founder and CEO of LUWI, and I'm joined by my LUWI team members, Sam Feingold, Marissa Freeman-Annette, and Cindy Pierce. We're really excited to give you a presentation tonight and to answer any questions you might have. So this is for you. Please enter questions in the chat. There's an anonymous feature, so I'm told. And so if you feel more comfortable that way, that's great too. We are going to provide a presentation via a deck. We've got a couple of slides that'll take about 6 minutes, and then we'll do a fireside chat with Cindy Pierce, and then it'll be open for anybody to ask questions. So I'm going to share my screen here. In 1 second. Here we go. Yay, there we go. Okay. Well, thank you all for being here. This is our very first webinar, and we're thrilled to be able to have everybody here tonight with us. We are going to share why LUWI is the game changer, is positioned as the game changer to become the most in-demand product in 2025. And so we've got the wonderful Cindy Pierce to help join us after the slide presentation. Cindy is an author, a comedian, a storyteller, a business owner, an all-around amazing person who, by the way, is asked all the time to promote brands. But when Cindy met LUWI from Karis Dennison and mega author Peggy Ornstein, something magical happened. This is not just any brand partnership. This is an amazing alignment, and you'll hear from Cindy herself about that. So tonight we'll provide a fun and informative presentation that will leave you benefiting in some way, maybe plural ways, we hope. So Marissa and Sam will be watching the chat. Please feel free to add your questions there. As many of you know, LUWI stands for Let Us Wear It. It's a new hormone-free, latex-free, STI-preventing contraceptive designed for women that men say feels like nothing. Essentially, it's the opposite of a condom. It's a finer liner, and it forms a second skin on the inside. So it lines the vagine, right? Enabling people to be in control of their health and well-being while also providing a natural feel. Timing is absolutely ideal to bring this new product to market to flip the status quo in the $10 billion, $10 billion male-centric condom industry that's pretty much unchanged in 100 years. And if anyone knows how to get us on the LUWI Harris bus, please let us know. So my journey, right? Why LUWI? I used to sell software. Maybe some of you have seen the latest article in Forbes. We're so lucky to be in Forbes. So exciting. It is personal. After surviving divorce and breast cancer, at the same time, I found myself needing hormone-free contraception that was food for the kind of cancer I had. And it was a real shock to learn that the only option requires women to rely on someone else for their health and well-being. And that just didn't make sense to me. I don't think that makes sense to any woman, quite frankly. And that's why we created LUWI. I mean, let's face it, all women buckle their own seatbelt when they get into their car, and all women deserve the same option when it comes to intimacy. Now, a lot of times when we're talking about LUWI, people want to call it a condom. So we thought, let's just kind of talk about the elephant in the room. We understand. I mean, when we will be stocked at CVS, we will be in the condom aisle. But technically, LUWI is not a condom. We hope that we can help folks know that LUWI is a finer liner. It lines the inside. It forms a second skin. It's not a tight-fitting cover for the penis, right? So thank you in advance for helping us spread the word and educate others on this distinction, and helping us share that it's to protect the vagina and the vulva while freeing the penis. And so far, women and men and non-binary folks love LUWI. This reminds me of Sarah Blakely, right? CEO of Spanx. When Sarah started Spanx, everyone wanted to call her product a girdle. But as we all know, Spanx is not that. So I guess we need Sarah's help to Spanxify Louis so that as we move forward and we follow in the steps, Sarah's footsteps to create this massive success and to grow this market, we want to take some lessons from how she did it. So on to the why, Louis, why now, right? I think the biggest opportunity we see is that there are over 180 condoms on the market today. They all are pretty much the same. I mean, some glow in the dark and some are flavored, but the problem is there's 0 made for women on the market. We see that CVS and Walgreens, Target, Walmart, they all have a his and hers for everything else. So it's about time we add Louis to the options for women in that aisle. So what really is Louis? Well, as we said, it's a finer liner. Here's our little sparkle vulva to show you how it looks when it's inserted. It's not made of latex, so it transfers heat and sensation. Latex does not. Latex is an insulator. It's thinner than latex. It's odorless, it's tasteless. It also protects the vulva, as I mentioned, and it's very easy to use. In fact, you can put it in or put it on to put it in. That's what we learned with our launch partners, sexuality educator folks at a focus group in Tennessee. One of our first target markets is the Gen Z market. We know that these folks are ready and craving something better. We know this because of our survey results and also from being boots on the ground and talking with many of them. We did have the great fortune to audit Dr. Lori Mintz's class. She is a University of Florida professor, and she is also the author of Becoming Clitorate. And she's also a Louis advisor. Her students responded to our survey, and these are the results. Pretty exciting. It's not just the University of Florida, though. Sam's work on campus has shown us that universities everywhere are wanting Louis. There are more than 5,000 universities in the United States, and most buy condoms in bulk. They have all here, 74 so far to date and counting, have shared they're eager for a health equity option that is also LGBTQ friendly. Now, I think we all understand what's happening today. There is an overwhelming confluence of factors that are driving the need for Louis. I mean, you know, the basic, we just need an option for women to be able to be buckling their own seatbelt, right? But STIs are up. Condom usage is down. And we learned a lot on campus. I think Cindy's going to she's going to share a little bit more about her thoughts from on campus in a bit. When we look at the top methods today, we really see that there's an option lacking. We see how Louis is really checking all of the boxes to provide this innovative and long overdue solution to meet this huge unmet need. So I guess in this case, size sort of does matter, right? This market potential is huge. So Louis exists to provide protection that feels better to all, to provide health equity and over-the-counter access to safety, and to enable agency and body autonomy. Now it's time to have a chat with Cindy and hear from others. Hi, Cindy. Can you hear me? Wait, are you muted? Wait, I can't hear Cindy.
Somehow I got there. I am.
Oh, yay. There you are. Thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thanks so much, Lisa. I'm such a fan.
Yes, thank you. Now, I think that there are so many people that have asked you to be promoters of their brand because of your work on campus, because of your authorship. You've got, how many books have you written on sexual health and campus? 3 books so far? Okay, yeah. And so, but when you and I met, there was really a magical alignment. Do you want to talk about how that came about?
Yeah, so it's interesting. A lot of people want to team up, get things together, you know, get me on board with their product or their organization. And I'm really selective. And when I met you, when Karis connected us, and then I connected with Lori Mintz, I was immediately excited. First of all, you are part of that, your energy,
Yeah.
your experience, your way about your team. It's been so great getting to know them. And just this product, it just feels something in my gut was like this could be a game changer.
Yeah, it's about damn time, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's just how it is. Well, I know your boots on the ground. You're at universities. You're with this group, these 18 to 24-year-olds. And I mean, there are 19 million students in college today in the United States. 11 million of them are women. They're predominantly impacted by STIs. Women, 248% more likely to contract an STI than a man, just anatomically. That's just how it is, right? What what do you see? We often get this question, oh, is there really demand for this?
So this hookup culture is alive and well. Um, and unfortunately, people are opting not to use condoms because the nature of hookup culture is you don't really know someone that well. Often these young people are students are trying to keep it casual and not get too into it. So it's awkward to have the conversation. So therefore they're not using condoms. STIs are on the rise. The people who work in the health centers in college are freaked out. They're like, could you please talk about protection? We see people twice, sometimes a month after or 2 months later, the same student. And that's really frustrating for them. And people aren't using condoms. Also, a lot of times people will say, I can't ejaculate with a condom. It's too thick. I don't feel enough. And that's a more complicated thing because erectile dysfunction is already an issue for young people in high school and college because of heavy porn use and the stakes are high. So that's a whole other thing. But they're not, they're not using condoms. And
Yeah,
what I love about Louie is that it's for all genders and all sexual encounters and just keeping people safe. It just seems so great. Um, but I think people worry about the thickness, and the beauty of Louis is it's thin, convert the heat. Like, look at that. What do you call your
yeah, super
sparkling
thin, sparkle vulva. Yes, you guys, we
sparkle
have a
vulva?
really special thing that happened recently. Louis Sparkle Vulva, we've pre-sold over 700 of these, was stolen from a cafe. I was meeting with an investor, stepped away, and my Louis Sparkle was stolen. So we got in contact with our prototyper, and he and his team made more. So Cindy's going to get her very own Sparkle Vulva soon.
I'm so excited. I will take that around,
Yeah.
share it, demonstrate. Yes.
Yeah. It is,
Yeah.
you're right. It is ultra thin. And I think that's a big deal in this environment. As you mentioned, the CAEP, Cindy Graham of the Kinsey Institute did a study and proved that 62% of young men are refusing to wear condoms because of just what you said, because they're not able to complete and maintain an erection. And that's a real challenge, not setting them up for failure, but also those that they're with, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
And could you repeat because I think it's really important how women are more susceptible, like to latex. Like, can you give some of those statistics? That's
Yeah,
really,
actually, one
again,
person on our team is allergic to latex, and so she has found a lot of these statistics for us too. Women, did you know, are 3 times more likely to be allergic to latex than men? I mean, I think just anatomically, we're just more susceptible to that. So, being able to protect the vaginal biome and protect that area without irritation is another aspect of Louis. So, yeah, that's
and
great.
that wide and the wide rim kind of spreads over and just increases the protection from STIs. It's great.
Yeah, that's true. So I know that another question we often get is okay, timing really seems to be good today. Why do you see, and of course, I think it's obvious to everybody, you've got this trend away from hormones on top of the STI rates and the decline in condom usage due to the CAEP. But what do you see on campus for for these students? What do you see as the time? Why is the timing we're so right now?
Well, I think a couple things come to mind immediately, and one is the health piece, the hormone free, that people are so much more conscious of that, much more interested in that. Secondly, pleasure is winning, and I think Lisa had shared with me earlier, in 1976, less than 1% of women, right, owned a vibrator. And in 1992, it was less than 2%. And in 2022, more than 70%. And there are
Wow,
multiple
yeah,
reasons
that's
for that.
awesome.
But
Yeah,
bottom line,
that is
women
a great stat. Yeah.
it is, and they understand pleasure more. They understand they have to learn how to give themselves pleasure if they want their partner of any gender to give them pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing your clitoris, finding that doorbell, giving it a jing jangle, like with you, like this is a priority for people. Pleasure is here, and this this finer liner is it. This like enhances pleasure. And the transference of heat, I think, is huge. So heat, pleasure, once again, just I know people in health centers will be really glad to have another option. I know
Yeah,
that they will
absolutely.
like
I
that.
think
And the
that's what we've learned
sexpert.
too. Yeah. Let's see, Cassie Setzler. Remember, we were at UConn right after they won the
Yes.
championship and how awesome that was.
Yeah.
And she said that she's really excited about an opportunity to have another option. She's buying all these condoms, right? And she wants to have another option, not just for women, but that's LGBTQ friendly too. And we've learned that in those communities, sometimes there's a lot of usage of toys and tools. And to protect the mitigation of infection, they're not going to put a condom on a toy or a tool. It slips right off, right?
Right. Right.
But they'll put Louis on that. So it's just another aspect of need that, oftentimes we don't think about.
And I want to say at UConn, I got the honor of being back there with these ladies, and it was so interesting how the condom table just
Yeah, yeah,
they
that
had
was
no
dead.
action.
That's right.
People were gathered around. It wasn't even on the market yet, Louis. And you're in your presentation, you say it can go in, it can go on a toy or a penis, in
Mhm.
the vulva, in the
In the
vagina.
vagina. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then
exactly.
in the anus, like you gave the full, and just how
Yeah,
easy
that
it is.
was really impactful. You're right, Cindy. I remember that too. You guys, we had like 400 kids lined up, and then we had actually condom manufacturers on either side of us at that event.
Yes.
And yeah, it was
And
kind of
they
deadly.
were curious, and can I they were asking questions,
Yeah,
kind of saddling up to us. Yes.
yeah.
Hi, Lisa.
Um,
Oops,
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead, Sam.
I see a hand raised in the chat, so I'm just gonna give them the opportunity to ask a question if they would still like to.
Sounds great.
Let's see. This is my first time doing that, so.
Yes. Oh, Jane's got a question. Is Louis okay to use vaginally or anally? Yes, it is, just as Cindy was sharing.
Michelle, your hand is raised if you want to go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, women helping women. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. I'm just not reading it.
Oh, well, it's not a question. It's just in support of a founder. Just to let you know, women-owned businesses raise less than 1% in funding. In part because it's harder for us. And secondly, I've been doing this a long time and women really don't fund other women. And so part of it's education. And I just think I'm here today to say, I can't give a lot, but I'm going to give something. And if
Thank
we could
you.
just help our female sisterhood,
Woohoo!
even a little, the story goes a long way. I'm down here in Florida, and yesterday the Harris bus came over. Florida is a red state, and I just moved from a blue state, so I'm a little bit in shock that we still have this conversation on the ballot. Roe v. Wade is up for again. We're starting over. It's like 1901. And you just have to realize that the fight isn't over to help women support women. and help the young girls. I'm sad they have to go through what, our grandmothers did for us, but here we are. So if you know anybody that cares about women's health, investors, we just have to kind of reach out. And women, when they do that, look out. I mean,
Yeah.
we need a wave here. Even a small amount can help Lisa she's close to FDA clearance, which is huge in
Yeah.
the healthcare industry. And I think just thinking about these things to support each other and tell the story that you saw a founder before she was, on Shark Tank or whatever TV show to tell the story.
I know everybody tells me to go on Shark Tank. I wonder if we should go on Shark
don't,
Tank.
because they take it all. So you're not going
Okay.
on Shark Tank. But anyway, congratulations, and let's give it up for Cindy for hosting this and
Thank
Lisa
you.
for leaning
you,
in and trying to
Michelle.
solve a big problem. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's awesome.
So we have a couple more questions coming in. I'm going to read this one from Steve. He asked, you mentioned it's thinner than a condom. What is the material exactly so that it makes it thin enough, but you can also allow it to be efficient as protection?
Oh, that is a great question. Yeah, so this is latex free, right? This is polyurethane, and it is actually stronger than latex. So it has a lower burst rate. No, it bursts less, so it has a higher burst rate, 12 PSIs, which is incredible. So actually the breakage rate is less with LEWI than with a condom, a latex condom. And so it does give it, and it is 2.3 microns, and the average latex condom is 8 microns. And of course, latex is an insulator, right? It's not a conductor or transfer of heat. And the reason this material is really better suited to being a finer liner is because of the way it gives. It's different, and it does free the penis while remaining on the inside. Whereas, latex, it just wants to be a tight fitting cover. It wants to be around that. And that constriction can be problematic for a lot of folks. I know that there are so many different sizes out there now of condoms. I mean, it's got to be mind-boggling to figure out that situation and what is best. And so we've solved that, right? We've made this a lot easier and a lot more comfortable. We got another question that I just now see in the chat. How does it go in and stay in? That is a really great question. The material is really the operative aspect of that. There is lube in LEWI. Now, not in this particular one, otherwise my keyboard would be having lube on it, right? But when you put it in, whether you put it in with your finger or put it in with a penis, it wants to stay on the inside. And because it's heating up, it's clinging to the walls. Yes, once in a while it may come out, but it will go right back in. And so it really most often wants to stay on the inside. And it's nice because I know some women have shared with me, I mean, I obviously use this all the time, that they can reach down and feel that it's still in place. That's not something you can do with a condom. And not every, but many 18 to 24-year-olds, the stories on campus that we hear are that they didn't know, right? He removed it and they didn't know, or it fell off and went on the inside and they didn't know. And that obviously we don't want that, right? So being able to make sure it's there and you can feel it is really a benefit. Can you show LEWI go from wrap to unrolled in the sparkle bubble? I do not have one in a package. In fact, most of our packaged samples are heading to the Kinsey Institute for our study. We're doing our scientific study to prove that men can maintain an erection more with LEWI than with a condom. So that's really exciting. And then the other balance of our samples have been sent to testing. So we're in testing. So you guys, we're getting really close. It's really exciting, the progress. This is what LEWI looks like when it's not inside LEWI sparkle vulva. There's a little Sharpie on here. That's not how it will be. That's just connoting this is an engineering unit. So you can see it's sleek, it's clean, it's clear, and it's very thin.
Lisa, what, Sam has one in a package. Could she demo it from the package so people could see it?
Maybe Sam can do that. I was going to mention, you know, one of the things that we learned in our focus group study in Tennessee with sexuality educators was that the unrolling condoms create this, this obviously you need two hands to unroll a condom and to put it on. And that can create this kind of awkward moment. And oftentimes that constriction is what desensitizes and then causes an erection to go away. And so a lot of the men had reported, wow, this is a one-hander. You can put it on with one hand and that's so much easier, no unrolling needed. So yeah, Sam.
Okay, so we're gonna do it. I have a sample.
Sam is our campus growth manager. She's always on campus. So yeah.
Yes, I'm the LEWI educator and campus growth manager. So this is kind of, you know, my thing. Here is a close-up of the LEWI Sparkle Vulva, which is a demonstration model that is in high demand. Everyone is obsessed with it. You can see the clitoris, the labia minora are right here, although it's a little hard to see on Zoom, the labia majora, and the inside is the vagina. So, you know, the packaging is going to look like what's behind Lisa, not this exactly. And there's a decent amount of lube, which you'll appreciate when you're using it, and not so much when you're using, you know, your computer and trying to host a Zoom webinar. But this is LEWI, you know, just opened it. This is the Sparkle Vulva. So you can kind of just start to feed it inside, and then you're going to want to use one finger to hold it in place when you are having insertion, and that will push it the rest of the way into the vagina without having it go too far in. And that way you're having the vulva being protected from STIs as well, in a way that condoms are incapable of providing that extra surface area of protection. Some people also say that there's additional stimulation of the clitoris from having this material here, which we've heard good things about. So thought that was worth mentioning.
Thanks, Sam. That's awesome.
Was that demo sufficient?
Oh, Cindy, we got another question for you.
Okay, I'm ready to rumble.
Maurice, you want to read?
Yes, I do. This is another one. I'm so glad this question's being asked. Cindy, what has been the biggest shift you've seen over the years in college students and how they talk about sex? I'm sure it's more normalized to talk about sex and health nowadays. Can you just kind of speak to that? You know, been an expert for
There's so
When
much
did you
background.
first start?
Well, I
on
started
campus?
in 2004. I
Okay.
didn't think there was an issue. I thought young people, the internet's coming, they're all dialed in, they're good. But I went to a sorority in my hometown here, or Dartmouth, with my niece, and had a whole group of women in a sorority. And I kind of spoke generally about things. And then I realized they didn't know much about pleasure. And I thought, oh my gosh. Then I went and spoke to a fraternity, my nephew's fraternity, when they were seniors. And I spoke for an hour and I took questions for 2 hours. And this is where I was saying to myself, wow, we have an issue here. Like, people don't understand a lot of things, including pleasure. But what I would say is, then the more I started talking to college students, the more I realized, wow, porn is interfering with healthy relationships. And this was when porn was a lot milder, harder to access. So in the last 10 years, and the thing is, masturbation, healthy, normal, magical for all genders, but it is skewing people's expectations of how sex should be, how bodies should respond. Condom use, you know, in California, where they were filming a lot of porn, they made the law said you had to use condoms in the filming. So porn creators moved to Florida, moved to different places, it all shifted. So consent is not portrayed in porn, condom use, communication. So what I've kind of seen in the last 10 years is people pretty nervous about, like, everyone's always been nervous. Basically, when I give my talks, I say, look, almost everyone, unless they're asexual, which is about 2 to 3% of the population, almost all people want to be good at sex. And but they're getting all this information that's getting them off track. So I want informed young people making healthier decisions that involve
Mhm.
pleasure and consent and communication.
I think that's where women can be invited into the conversation with Louis, because up until this point, that kind of pre-care conversation has really been dominated by, can you wear a condom?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of small voice that is, you know, women are forced to rely on another, and that ask. And I think, you know, what I've learned over the years in my readings is that women are conditioned to be concerned about a man's pleasure.
Right.
And so how do we be successful in that environment, in that situation, when we know that is constricting and desensitizing? And so I think, like what you're saying, that is so important, this pre-care, I think that's what Louis is doing, being able to provide an option that women can then say, hey, you don't have to worry about it. I got this, and you're going to love it.
Yeah. But to have that confidence, say, you'll love it, like that takes practice. That's one
Mm.
thing. And in a hookup, the
Maybe
likelihood
they don't
of
have to say it then.
yeah,
They
but
can just feel it.
normalizing pre-care and aftercare,
Okay.
reflecting on, was that pleasurable for you? Did that work for you? Were you comfortable? Did you like that the finer liner more than you'd have a condom? Like to normalize communication. So it's a little tricky to, when people are trying to keep it casual with someone they don't know that well, not being obsessed, pretending they're not obsessed, pretending they're not that interested, to risking shame. Like social media obviously is a big part of, too many people are involved in people's hookups, and the risk
Yeah.
the risk for shame and rejection that's public is too much for young people. So I just think normalizing. We've got pleasure. Pleasure's on the move. Thanks to Lori Mintz.
So
Pleasure's
that's the
on the
difference
move.
you've seen in the past 10 or 20 years, the
It's on the
shift.
move, but while it's
Yeah.
on the move, the messaging from internet porn and the culture is working against it. So
Mm.
while there's so much improvement, there's also so much backward movement, or messaging that's putting pressure on people to have really rough, violent sex, and not being members of the kink community. And that's what I hear. There's like, don't just do these acts without having some sort of training or awareness or education in this realm. So the kind of sex young people are having, but I think anal sex has become more normalized, whether people are enjoying it or not, unfortunately.
Well, that's
Women are
another
not.
area that is more susceptible to STIs.
Yes.
Right. And so being able to have an alternative for that too, something that feels better, maybe really beneficial too. We have another question here. Question via, is it size specific? So we have sized this to be the size of an average vagina, and it does give. And so that means it is not constricting for most penises. I think we have reports where there are a few that they feel the sides of Louis. And what was really exciting is that they liked that. It wasn't, it didn't constrict because they could feel through that. So yes, to answer that question, it does not come in different sizes, but this is ample enough. And then it does obviously give. Sam, Maris, is there another question?
There is, and I would love to actually take the chance to answer this. Hi, everyone. I'm Marissa. I'm a proud member of the Louis team. You can imagine we have some fun. We always say that you can't spell Team Louis without TMI. It's a good group, and we're out here doing some important work. I am gonna just turn on my video here so that I can wave hi. There's a great question that came through, and it is, how can we spread the word about Louis? And I wanted to just take a minute, because we all know the power of social media. We all know the way that emails fill up our inboxes and can be, disregarded and all of that. So I actually want to take a different approach to this answer, to say and share why we're doing what we're doing with crowdfunding. It was a really obvious choice, and Lisa's leadership led us to crowdfunding, because the crowdfunding process really creates a channel for more people at a lower barrier of entry amount to hold onto the title of investor really proudly. I have learned through Google searching while on Zoom calls with Lisa more and more about the investing world and what that's like. And there is a large barrier if you are not an accredited investor. So Lisa, I wanted to answer this because I wanted to brag about you, because I know you won't brag about yourself, to say that Lisa really envisioned this Venn diagram of, if women are taking agency over their health and body, and we are seeing that there need to be more women in the room where these, large investment decisions are happening, we need to talk that talk, but walk the walk by also creating this channel with crowdsourcing or crowdfunding as an avenue to invest, so that maybe in 2, 3, 5 years, someone who explored investing by way of LUWI, by way of creating agency and body autonomy for themselves, they're now in a different room and able to make those larger decisions for the next generation of equitable healthcare for women. So the question is a great one. It's share our emails, forward to a friend, all the social media things, which I know everyone is going to always be pushing at us, but I'd really invite you all to think about this as crowdfunding as a vehicle for inviting more women, like Michelle earlier mentioned, into the space to be able to, and men, to be able to have a lower barrier of entry into supporting a startup at this point in our
That's great. Thanks, Marissa. Yeah, I
Could I
appreciate
add
that.
to that as far as
Yeah.
getting the word out? I think if you have a kid in college, sometimes or we like to say one of your friends' kids or one of your kids' friends in college, because usually the kid is like, I'm not going to the sexperts to talk about this Louis thing like that. So I don't want to be the one. But if you know young people in college, tell them about it. Encourage them to talk about it, send them information about it. Or if you know someone who works at a college, and get them talking to there's often a group of
Or share the college with us. We'll be happy to.
Sam, if you
Sam would
know
be
people,
great at
Sam will
that.
pursue. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, what I've learned too from this whole journey is from selling software to software, right? That the more we talk about it, the easier it is. And the more the young people talk about it, the better decisions they make. Right, Cindy, I guess you've seen that. That's the whole mission, right? Talk about it more, then they're more comfortable, then they are going to make better decisions. And I think in my particular situation, we have a garage, and my daughter she has her friends out there, and they've all put Sharpie on the wall, right? And one day I went out there, and there was a picture of a penis on the garage, and I said, "Oh my God, this is LUWI headquarters. We need a picture of a vulva out there." And so her friends, about 5 minutes later, came in the house and said, "Ms. Kinsella, how do you draw a vulva?" And that just spoke volumes. Like, okay, we get it. That is our mission, to launch when we have our product Q2, when we're ready to launch, we are going to launch our TikTok and our Instagram content that is all about helping people know, how do you draw a vulva? What does it look like, right? To obviously make that even easier. I mean, I'm being general. Lots of people know what a vulva is. I'm not saying that nobody does.
So many people don't. Vulva owning women who are in their late 20s and 30s often don't know what it's about.
Yeah, and you remember, Cindy, we saw that at UConn. Remember, we would and the guys were a couple of them said vulva. Yes, you got it.
Yeah.
It was really exciting. They were really excited when they got it.
Right.
Hey guys, just wanted to jump in. I see that Brooke raised her hand, so I'm going to invite her to ask her question, and we'll pass it to you guys.
Hi, thank you for all this amazing information. I'm a mom of 4 children, and I have a question about the donation button. So I just went through the whole stock option thing. At the very end, it asks you to agree to 2 questions, which I couldn't find.
Sam, do
Let's
you
clarify, Brooke?
want to help with Brooke?
Yeah,
Maybe
or do you want,
offline?
I was on startengine.com offering Louis.
Okay, okay.
Nice.
Is there a better way to do this?
No,
No,
that
that's great.
That's the way. I don't remember answering 2 questions.
It says you have to check these 2 boxes in order to
let me
complete the
message you
agreement.
privately and we will finish that process. So
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks, Brooke. Thanks
It
for your
does
help.
raise an
No,
important
it's
note,
awesome.
though.
And yeah,
It's really
it's
Hello,
quick.
super
Brooke
excited.
Luja.
How are your kids in college? Where, how old are your kids?
They're all now graduated and all have experienced, you know, probably
Mm.
friends with hookups themselves. It's been very complicated. Cindy's helped us at all of our
No.
universities, all
Brooke
4 of
has
them.
amazing kids who are
Yeah.
educating all of their friends. If they were, they should be spreading the word on.
She's even come to New York City. If it weren't the draft tonight for fantasy, they would all be here.
No, that's
Half of
cool.
them, and
Wow,
the
good for you. That's
other half are just
awesome.
starting business school. So, but they're going to spread the word in New York and asked if you would all consider coming to New York to talk to
Oh.
their communities. So
That sounds great. We would love to. We would love
Yeah.
to do that. I think we're going to start a road show in January again, and we'll be
Okay.
bringing some lube samples if we don't yet have Louis samples. So yeah, for sure. Sam, we got to get on that and help
I was gonna
Brooke and
say
meet with her
I'm
kids.
based in Westchester, New York, so in the neighborhood-ish.
Okay, great.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Brooke. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Brooke.
Is there anything more we wanted? We talked about what is Louis. We talked about why now. We talked about the huge demand for Louis. We talked about the target market being the campuses first, and then the latex allergy, right? And then midi. We didn't even talk about the midi market. We didn't even talk about the midi market, Cindy, and how that helps with menopause, right? Right?
Wait, I wanted, before you went on, would you tell about CVS? What the
Oh,
plan is
yes.
for the 100 stores?
Yeah, that's a great idea. So, so everybody, we are in testing right now, and then we're in parallel conducting our Kinsey Institute scientific study in the clinical trial. Once we have that data complete, we will be submitting to the FDA, and then there is a process that enables us to get clearance, and that takes a few months. Once we are cleared, then we can launch. And part of our launch plan includes CVS. We were really excited. The woman there who heads up this category is fantastic. I mean, she is a force, and she's been there at the helm for, I think, 20 years. She knows everything, and she loves Louis. She is going to put us in 3 different places in CVS. One will be the condom aisle, of course, that's a natural. And then, test out other areas. And so we'll launch at 100 schools and at 100 CVSs that are on or near campus, and probably at the women's health centers that are on or near campus too. So the name of the game is accessibility, right? Because when people have access to Louis, they try it. And when they try it, we see they love it. So that's the whole name of the game, accessibility. So we're pretty excited about it.
Speaking about accessibility and trying Louis, some people in the chat are asking when and where they'll be able to purchase Louis to try it out. Lisa, are you able to talk a little bit more about that for us?
Yeah, that sounds great. I think that we haven't finalized our date yet. Obviously, we've got a couple of variables to get through clearance, but we're looking at Q2, and I imagine there's going to be some timing that we want to organize, because Q2 isn't when the kids go back to school. That's Q3. So I think we may have to be online and sample online and sample at other events over the summer, Lollapalooza, right, Coachella, things like this, in advance of the school year. So I think that there will be opportunities to get your hands on Louis and try it out before we launch at CVS and on campus.
Yes, and I just remembered and wanted to add in that if you go to getlouis.com, the very first option is to fill out a form with your name, your email, to get notified once Louis is available. So if you guys want to fill that out, then we'll make sure to contact you as soon as you can try it.
Great idea, Sam. Oh, Jane's got a comment. As a middle school sex ed teacher, I would always ask the students to consider a design for women's contraception. This nails it. Yay. Thanks, Jane. Thank you. Have Cindy share her wackadoodle story about the female condom. Oh, yeah. You want to share that?
Oh, it might be troubling for some people, but the female condom. So Jane was a sex educator, and at more than 20 years ago, it was before our kids were born, in the 90s. And she said, Cinder, you got to try this. She sent me the condom. And so Bruce and I, he wasn't my husband yet, but we're like, here we go. We're getting the party started. And then I'm like, hold on, I need to put on the female condom. So I open the package and I unroll the thing. It's like this big. I mean, it was the 90s, it was their first version. And
No, it's still
I
the
was like,
same.
wow, where's this going? And then, of course, I was familiar with the diaphragm, and not that Randy with the boyfriend watching us, you're like inserting this thing. And then I stood up and it's hanging out like the Liberty Bell.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought to myself, my word, this is too much. And then it was so thick that it felt like I was having sex with someone across the room. It was not that Randy. Yeah, not
Well, that
Randy.
is a great story, because what we were just on the phone with Pepper Schwartz. She used to be on the board of Trojan. She's also on this TV show called Married at First Sight. And Pepper was telling me that she said, wow, Lisa, you guys have done it. You've innovated incredibly well on a bad entry product. And, I mean, I think FC2 is a fine product. It's just, there's some tweaks, there's some things that really need it, to change the material, to make it sexy, to taper it, to shorten it, to, change the ring size, to just make it a little bit thinner and make it transfer heat, brand it, make it accessible, right? All of those things are really important, especially today. So yeah, I think we've cracked the code and making it more sexy, right? And a better shape, a better fit.
That's great. Thanks, Lisa. There's another question in the Q&As. Please discuss the price of the Louis finer liners compared to the price of condoms. Do you want to?
That's a great question. Yeah, absolutely. So there is a range, as you can imagine, with over 180 condoms on the market. There is quite a range from the low end to about $1 all the way up to, they have $16 a condom now, right? Yeah, these are crazy. But anyway, if you look at the most sold boxes, and this is CVS data they've shared with us, and then you look at the middle of that, that's where Louis is priced. So we're not the lowest and we're definitely not the highest. So it will be $14.99 for a 6-pack, and that is $2.50 each. And then for schools, it will be less than half of that, for the colleges. I mean, they're buying in bulk. They're not buying in 6-packs, right? They're buying in 500 or 1,000 and so forth. So, yeah. So we did look at the pricing study a lot to make sure that it's accessible. One of the things that I can't stand is this marketing thing that happens with a lot of women's products, right? And they always say, if you pink it, you shrink it, and you increase the cost. Not gonna do that. No way. No way. I mean, we love men and we want men to be buying Louis too, but this is something that we want women to be able to have access to, and to, not, right, and still be able to go get their Starbucks, right? Or pay their tuition.
Awesome. We've got a couple more coming in. So first, and that I think lines up with our timing. One of the questions is, what is the minimum? And then what is the maximum amount for the current investment that?
Thanks, Maris. Yeah, great question. So the minimum is $250. However, we also on our website have enabled a donation button. A donation button doesn't give you a piece of or a shares of Louis, but a donation you could, that could be $50 if you chose, or something like that. So really the minimum is whatever feels good to you. But the minimum on the Start Engine investment to get shares is $250. And the maximum, that is a great question. I have never been asked that. The maximum is $770,000. That's the maximum today. And that's because we do not want to take any more investment at the current valuation. But that's how much we are willing to take on in terms of investors until we are cleared and on the market.
Great. And then our last question is for both of you. So perfect. Just to get a sense of what others are hearing and curious about, when you're in your pitches and lectures, what are the most asked questions you both get? One for Lisa in your LEWI pitches, and then Cindy in your sexual health seminars, respectively.
Go, Cindy, go. You want to go first?
I will just say, at this point, I'm having just a lot of conversations with groups of people, not yet in a college group, like in a fraternity or in a college team or a sorority. But the questions we have gotten are, it's always about feel. Is it going to be, is it going to feel good? And, or if the person, it says, I can't wear a condom, how can I convince them? And that's where we have to say thinner, stronger, heat, this thing's working, and yet you just got to give them all the language around it. And that's the most common question I get is
Yeah.
feel.
I get that too. I think that's what's so frustrating about this not having product yet. We've got about 100 testers, and when we sold in London our proof of concept, we got a bunch of people that reviewed it, and we know how good it is, right? And some of us are regular users of it, and so wearers of it, and so we know how much better it does feel. And that's kind of something that you can't explain. Somebody has to try it. And so as soon as we do have product, that's going to be really, really exciting, because it's going to be this, wow, it's not too good to be true. It's actually true. But I'd say for me, the questions that I get the most frequently in my pitches are, is there really demand? That is a big one that I'm almost kind of awestruck by. Are you serious? Is there really demand? There is so much demand. We already have letters of intent worth $2 million, and we don't even have product yet. So obviously there is demand, and we've got a pipeline of well more than that. So it's really exciting to be able to focus on capturing more of that demand in these next coming months. The other question I get frequently is timing. And so I think we're trying to address that here. Q2 is our target launch, and I think on campus as soon as school starts, right? So August, and we'll be at the CVSs then. But we can make sure that everybody is on a newsletter so that they're informed, ahead of time.
Yeah, I would, as the one who's on campus, talking to students, talking to people who are excited to try the product, when I tell men specifically that it feels better than a condom, they're like, awesome, when can I start using it? When can I try it? So it's really exciting seeing how open people are to this, especially when you think about, like, of course they want something that feels better, and you want to be using a product that you can trust and that you can also enjoy. So that's kind of like, the feedback. They're like, awesome, like, where do I get it?
Yeah, that is awesome. I know I started this journey trying to solve a problem for me, right? Needing hormone-free contraception, only to learn it's really something that everybody wants. And all women, not just divorced women, cancer survivor women at all stages, and men too, because everyone craves something better than a condom, right? Anything else, guys?
I don't see any more questions right now. I just want to say thank you again to Lisa and Cindy for a wonderful webinar and fireside chat. And also huge thank you to everyone who, spent time out of their night to be here and to learn about LEWI. And I put emails in the chat if you guys want to ask us more questions or reach out to us, as well as the links to our website and to, investing on Start Engine, donating on our website, or just checking it out more. So
Thanks, Sam.
Spread the
That's
word.
awesome.
Spread
Yeah,
the word.
Spread the word. Share
Yeah.
about Louis. Let us wear Louis, right? And any donation, any size investment helps us get to market sooner. So thanks for your help, everyone. Thanks, awesome team.
Thanks, team.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.